you go.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. Tyson Fury is reported to face Otto Wallin. Who the fuck is that? What up, Fight World? It's your boy Ego, and I'm back with some more boxing. Make sure you smash the like button. We unpack, coming to you live. Boxing Ego unpack. We got to talk about it. Let's jump right into it. You guys know my new segment, Boxing Ego Unpack, where I take a topic, really hone in, and just unpack it, give you my thoughts. Now, ESPN and a lot of others are reporting this. Lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury to face Otto Wallin. Says Dan Raphael, link in the description. Lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin have come to terms to meet on September 14th. Top-ranked president Carl Moretti told ESPN on Friday. And obviously Tyson Fury's fighting on ESPN in America, so I would imagine they get first dibs, and you know, this is accurate information. The fight will be a headline on Top Rank Boxing on ESPN Plus card. Will take place at MGM Las Vegas, MGM Grand Garden Arena, T-Mobile Arena, Mandalay Bay, somewhere. The paperwork is being drafted, but there is an agreement. So both fighters have verbally agreed or whatever, and they're doing the paperwork. Top Rank Bob Arum and Wallin's promoter Dimitri Salita of Salita Promotions have been talking about the possibility of the bout for about a week. Other available Top Rank fighters discussed would be Fury versus Johan Duhaupas, who Wilder knocked out years ago, of France, and New Zealand's unbeaten but untested Junior Fa. Fury of England will fight for the second time since signing the deal, yada, yada, yada. I think it's great that Tyson Fury wants to get right back in the ring and stay active, Moretti said. It's something uncommon nowadays. A Fury victory would set him up for already agreed upon rematch with Deontay Wilder. The untested Wallin, 20-0, 13 knockouts, 28 years old, of Sweden, made his U.S. debut in his last fight, a first round no contest against a journeyman, Nick Kistner, in Jersey. The Showtime televised bout ended because Kistner suffered a bad cut, accidental headbutt. You know, I actually seen this dude. Now that they say that, I watched this fight. Bro, this is terrible. This is terrible. Tyson Fury, he got ESPN, they gotta cut it out. Look, Fury versus TBA. Listen, my thoughts, you know, who the fuck is Otto Wallin like that, man? Otto Wallin, that really sounds like a transformer. Autobots, engage. You know, fucking like you gonna battle some Decepticons. Otto Wallin? Otto Wallin? Man, listen, new media been killing. I told you guys, ESPN, they jumped at the story, you know, the backstory. Tyson Fury battled obesity, mental health issues, and got up in the 12th round. And they're trying to make Tyson Fury this huge, you know, big to do in America. And this ain't it, Chief. Tyson Fury, he's a good fighter. He could box. You know, but again, Tyson Fury stylistically needs to be put in there with, this picture is making me uncomfortable. Let me switch this real quick. Tyson Fury stylistically needs to be in there with somebody who will bring out the best, you know, for his style, where his style will gel, like Deontay Wilder. The reason Wilder was such a good fight is because Wilder's gung-ho-ness and his willingness to, you know, try to come forward and make the fight, and he's a vicious puncher, so you know, any given moment, things can switch, which is what we've seen in the fight, right? But Tyson Fury versus Klitschko, I respect Tyson Fury for ending Klitschko's reign, but it wasn't an entertaining fight. It was a boring fight, you know? Props to Tyson Fury, he did it, and then he, you know, his world came crashing down or whatever due to personal problems, but it just wasn't that scintillating of a fight like Anthony Joshua versus Klitschko clearly was a better fight, action, fan favor and that type of stuff. So ESPN, I think they bit off more than they could chew, because they have Tyson Fury. He's a good showman. You see the Apollo Creed outfit. He's a good talker, stuff like that. But stylistically, he's not the heavyweight. Like, I can think of several other heavyweights that, per their style, the way they inherently fight, they're more in a Dillian White, Daniel Dubois, Deontay Wilder, right? F.A. Ajagba, Anthony Joshua, Andy Ruiz, like all these guys stylistically have more, what we expect from the heavyweight division. Again, you got to do what you got to do to capture that W and collect the win. I get that. I'm not knocking that. A victory is a victory. But ESPN up here, paying Tyson Fury whatever X amount of money, $108 million allegedly, and they're not delivering high capacity desired fights. Like who in their right mind said, I want to watch Tyson Fury versus Tom Schwartz? I want to see Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin. This motherfucker sound like a robot or some shit. It is not a good look. It's not a good look at all. ESPN, they're making the same. It's funny that I called this out. New media, I explicitly called this out. What they're doing in boxing, this is HBO 2.0. HBO is obviously did a lot for boxing, but towards the end stretch, they started like taking foreign fighters, and then they automatically were selected and praised a lot more than the American fighters. And they started putting a lot of emphasis on the foreign fighter, Eastern European fighters, to the point where there was a lot of talented American fighters that weren't getting no type of shine. And then the people who were getting shine on the network, Vodstick and Usyk and Lomachenko and Kovalev, just anyone else outside of the American talent. And that's what DAZN, we're seeing the same thing. We're seeing where they're not making great fights, American fights, great fights for it. Doesn't, I'm not saying you have to be purely American to be in a great American fight, but you have to be, okay, the goal is this. Just hear me out. You are trying to create a big fight and sell it to Americans in America. And then you put Tyson Fury, for this example, in there with guys that haven't really fought in America. They just said in the article, Otto Wallin, he made his pro debut. Now I know what he's talking about now that I read that part. But it says the untested Wallin of Sweden made his USA debut in his last fight on April 13th. So this motherfucker had never fought in America until he fought on that Showtime card. And I remember watching that. I forgot whose fight I was watching because it wasn't the main event, but I watched that fight card. It might have been Clarissa Shields, to be honest. It might have been Clarissa Shields versus Christina Hammer off the top of my head. I don't remember but look at the date. But either way, I watched that fight. But he's never fought in America. Same thing with Tom Schwartz. He never fought in America before. So how are you going to sell? ESPN is one of the largest, if not the largest, sports company in America. And you got a European gypsy fighter who built his whole like resurgence off of the back of Wilder's name, and giving him a tough fight when people doubted him, and getting up from a vicious, what should have been a knockout, to fight back. And he gets the deal off the back of, he gets a major high paying ESPN gig on the back of that performance. You only see this for certain fighters when they have the complexion for the protection. Tyson Fury nearly gets knocked out and is in peril in the 12th round. But since he survives and, he came back from mental health and lost weight and these types of things, it's glorified. It's glorified that he came back. He doing drugs, he chose to do that. Getting knocked out, he obviously wasn't putting on that much of a masterclass boxing like people make it out, because when have we seen Floyd Mayweather get stretched like that? You know, he had a good performance. He had a good little run. He was troubling Wilder, making Wilder miss, you know, outboxing Wilder. He never really hurt Wilder. And then he got clipped twice. End of story. So he gets this huge deal, leaves the Wilder. This is the other part. See, and this is why old media is extinct. This is why old media is dead. I'm telling you, because when stuff like this, Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin, you know, gets talked, they don't have no gripes. But when Deontay Wilder is, you know, before, like a couple years ago, he's fighting Eric Molina, Johan Duhaupas, and, you know, people failed drug tests like Andre Wawowski, Alexander Povetkin, Luis Ortiz, things that foiled his fights with them, especially like Povetkin, right? That was an exciting fight that people were looking forward to. And they failed drug tests, and or he fights the available guys like Johan Duhaupas, and they give him no credit. They give the black fighter, Deontay Wilder, zero credit for that. They're like, oh, 40 fights, 40 bums. This is what they say. But then you have Tyson Fury, whose last opponents, they're undefeated, but they're also untested, and they haven't even, it's uncharted territory. They've never even fought in America. I seen the Otto Wallin fight, and it wasn't no crazy impressive performance. You know, and truth be told, I'm more impressed with F.A. Ajagba, you know, Philip Ergovich, and Adam Kaunowski than I have been. I haven't seen enough of, like, I seen one fight from Otto Wallin. I barely even know who, like Floyd said, I barely even, Shane Mosley, I barely know who the fuck you are. I don't even know who Otto Wallin is like that, you know? And old media refuses to critique or criticize these moves from ESPN, you know, Bob Arum, Top Rank, Tyson Fury, Frank Warren. They just act like it's all good. But meanwhile, these same motherfuckers were the ones that said Wilder ain't fighting nobody, 40 fights, 40 bums. Look at Tyson Fury outside of his fight with Wilder, since that's a fight that they had together. Look at who he's fought since Klitschko. So he fought Klitschko, was supposed to rematch. The fight got postponed because there was rumors that there was discord with him and Peter Fury, and it wasn't going smoothly. And then we later found out that he was on drugs and partying and, you know, wasn't focused for the rematch. So he fails a drug test with UCAD and all this stuff. He gets banned and suspended, disappears and gains weight, like ungodly amount of weight, and disappears for 2-3 years. And then he comes back, gets his act together, says, I'm back, you know, I'm rejuvenated, blah, blah, blah. Takes a fight with Safari, unknown, takes a fight with Francisco Pianeta. We accept these things because he says, I'm willing to fight Deontay Wilder, which he did, right? Then he fought Wilder, fought to a draw. The whole world demanded closure and said, hey, man, bravo. That was a great fight. So they have the Barclays saved, thinking that they're in deep negotiations, which they were, you know, PBC and Wilder's people, and Tyson Fury and Frank Warren. And then Tyson Fury's team went radio silent, and then Wilder's team was like, okay, that's a little bit fishy, you know, what gives? And the reason came out is because he has signed an ESPN deal, unbeknownst to PBC and that, and then Bob Arum and Top Rank and ESPN get involved, and they, you know, throw a monkey wrench into Wilder Fury 2, which could have already happened. We see, this is the bullshit with boxing, the politics. Wilder Fury 2 could have and should have already happened. Meanwhile, Andy Ruiz and Joshua was upset by Andy Ruiz, and they're about to rematch at the end of the year. Wilder's supposed to fight Luis Ortiz. So we could be having a winner between Wilder Fury. That could have already happened by now. Instead of the Brazil fight, it would have been Tyson Fury. So we would have already had a concluded winner of who's the WBC champion, either Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury. And then AJ and Ruiz can handle their business with their rematch. And then let's say Wilder won, he could fight Luis Ortiz, or Tyson Fury, if he was a W champ, he could fight who he wants. And then we can have an undisputed fight top of the year next year between AJ, Andy Ruiz winner, and whoever won out of Wilder Fury. You know, we could have been on a Wilder Fury trilogy by now, you know, and ESPN and Top Rank came in and stole, you know, Tyson Fury out of the negotiations, and they've been putting him in with soft touch fights that nobody cares about. And they claim it's to build Wilder Fury. How is this building Wilder Fury hype when you're putting him in with people that nobody even knows, that haven't even fought in America, and trying to pitch it to American crowds? Then Tyson Fury, his last fight, they say it sold 9,000 tickets, and then reports and the numbers were pulled from the commission, and it really sold 5,623 tickets. And then they comped 1,200 tickets, which still doesn't add up to 9,000. You know, so this is just a bad look. Then Ring Magazine, they put Tyson Fury as fucking number 1. Tyson Fury got 27-0-1. Wilder has a record of 41-0-1, and he's destroyed and knocked out everyone except for Tyson Fury that he fought. But he's been doing it longer. He's been doing it continuously. The black fighter, Deontay Wilder, he's been doing it and he's about to have 10 title defenses. He's taken a tougher schedule. Luis Ortiz undefeated, then Tyson Fury undefeated, beat one by knockout, fought the other one to a draw and nearly knocked him out, and was ready to go back into the immediate rematch. And, you know, these companies like Ring, ESPN, they keep anointing Tyson Fury. They keep shouting out that he's the lineal champ and everybody bow down to the lineal champ. But it's bullshit because it's some imaginary shit. And okay, you beat Klitschko. That was years ago. That was like 2015, the year Mayweather fought Pacquiao. A lot has changed. Pacquiao just fucked around and fought Keith Thurman. Mayweather fought Tenshin and Conor McGregor since that point. That was years ago that Tyson Fury beat Klitschko. But they're reveling in the win that he had, his best win, because the Wilder fight wasn't a win. It was a draw, you know. And some people argue that Wilder should have won just because it should have been a knockout, blah, blah, blah. Or if you score an extra round or two to Wilder early in those first 3 rounds where it wasn't too much action from Tyson Fury, then Wilder would have won, you know. And you got, again, Ring Magazine, they got Tyson Fury in lineal champ, and he's 27-0-1, and they putting him as the number 1 heavyweight because Joshua lost. How? Wilder's been doing it longer. He's been doing it consistently. He hasn't failed drug tests like Tyson Fury. He has more fights. It's more exciting. He has more knockouts. He's decimating guys, right? Tyson Fury is not necessarily doing that with everyone he fought, right? Wilder is. He's destroying it. So if we're talking about who's harder to beat, clearly Wilder's style is hard to beat because everyone keeps getting knocked out and hurt by him, right? And again, he's been doing it longer, almost 10 title defenses against top-rated guys that people made fun of Wilder when he was fighting undefeated Johann Duhaupas, who was definitely a tougher test than Tom Schwartz. Johann Duhaupas was tough. And then guys like Povetkin and Gerald Big Baby Miller later get credit for beating and knocking out Johann Duhaupas. And Wilder was the one that fought the undefeated one. Man, new media is killing, and the truth is starting to come out. Like I said, Ring Magazine, they couldn't wait to put Tyson Fury as the number 1 pound for pound in the heavyweight division. But how? And again, okay, cool, lineal champ, even though imaginary belt, whatever. Why is Tyson Fury, since Ring Magazine has him number 1 pound for pound in the heavyweight division, why is he fighting the lightest touch? Dillian White, you know, albeit he failed a drug test, he fought Oscar Rivas coming off the Brian Jennings win. Oscar Rivas had just knocked out Brian Jennings on ESPN, and he works with Top Rank, you know. So how is Dillian White taking a tougher schedule? AJ's running it back with Andy Ruiz, the black fighter, Anthony Joshua, the Mexican fighter. You know, they're about to run it back, and, you know, they both showed they can hurt each other in the first fight. So they have tough tests. Wilder's about to fight fucking Luis Ortiz, who hurt him, and he hurt Luis Ortiz. But Tyson Fury's sitting up here, and he fighting Transformer, Otto Wallin, Autobots, engage. You know, and they got the old media and Ring Magazine, all these motherfuckers got the audacity to put Tyson Fury as the number 1 heavyweight. Okay, doesn't that come with responsibility? If you're the number 1 heavyweight, where's your responsibility? That's why I don't believe in this whole lineal championship, because he has no mandatories and no one's enforcing anything. Tyson Fury can pick guys out of the sky, out of left field, whoever he wants to fight. Meanwhile, people like Canelo are getting stripped in boxing for not fighting mandatories and agreeing to fights like Derevyanchenko. You know, so every other champion has a set of rules. like people they have to fight, mandatories. Like, it's not fair. How is it fair that Tyson Fury can run around? He ain't had a relevant win since the Klitschko fight, because he didn't beat Wilder. You could cry and kick and scream and say you thought he won. He didn't win, you know? So his last real relevant win, again, he beat Safiri, Tom Schwartz, and Francisco Pineda. But who the fuck were any of those guys? We never even heard of them before or after. You know, these guys didn't have no crazy experience. So once again, how is it that Tyson Fury, his last big victory was in 2015, late 2015 against Klitschko? You know, so he can run around and say, I'm lineal champ and that's all they want, Gypsy King Fury and all this shit. But you don't have any rules. You don't have a mandatory. You can say the king of the division. Again, I'm not knocking that Tyson Fury is a good fighter. We know he's a good fighter. You know, pretty slick, moves well for his size, these types of things. But he ran from the Wilder rematch. He signed with ESPN Top Rank. They claim they want to build the Wilder Fury 2 fight, but how is this building it? Fighting guys that nobody's ever heard of, guys who aren't popularized, haven't been fighting in America. Between Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin, you know, you can't even say just one of his name, you know, it's just his first name. You got to say the whole shit, Otto Wallin. You can't just say Otto, you know, fucking bus driver from the Simpsons and shit, Otto. Hey, Bart, you know. And again, Tyson Fury, he's lineal champ, but he don't have no lineal, nobody's mandating that he fights better competition. You know, this is just a joke. And then it's funny as fuck to see old media, they don't say nothing about it, but they'll be the first to critique Errol Spence and Gervonta Tank Davis. Oh, yeah, the Black Channel. Why is Tank Davis fighting Ricardo Nunes? That's his mandatory. He knocked out his mandatory. You know, he knocked out his mandatory. Tyson Fury, his mandatory is not Tom Schwartz and Otto Wallin. They just randomly picked these fights that no one requested, you know? And as far as Tyson Fury, it's official. 1000% I am convinced. Him, his team, somebody, he claims he beat Deontay the Bronze Bomber Wilder 10 rounds to 2 in a 12-round fight. The lie detector test determined that was a lie. These are not the type of fights you take if you are confident that you have everything in tow, everything's intact, all your bearings, all your faculties. These aren't the types of fights a confident fighter will take. Do you see Errol Spence taking on challenges like that? He just fought Mikey Garcia, about to fight Sean Porter. You know why? Because he's feeling himself. He feels invincible. He feels he's the best at welterweight. And that's why you see it. He's putting on great performances against Kell Brook, Lamont Peterson. He's stopping guys like Ocampo. Then he dominated Mikey Garcia, really beat the brakes off him. So yeah, he's confident. He can move on. Tyson Fury's claiming he dominated Deontay Wilder, which we know he didn't, 10 rounds to 2. Then what gives and justify such a light schedule with unheralded, unknown guys who are domestic level? You know, this is just a bad look for ESPN too. They said they wanted him to fight an American. This is bad when the rumored names like Gerald Miller, who just failed a drug test, and Charles Martin, who I definitely didn't want to see Tyson Fury versus Charles Martin. But both of those names, you know, the Miller fight, Big Baby Miller would have got criticism because he's coming off the drug shit. You know, even Kubrat Pulev, he's coming off a Bill Cosby case. I would like to talk to Jen Sushi about the pudding, you know. And all three of those fights, those aren't even fights that I really desire. Charles Martin, Kubrat Pulev, or Gerald Big Baby Miller. You know, Miller would be the best probably for Tyson Fury, but I would much rather see any of those fights with Tyson Fury other than Otto Wallin. Again, ESPN said they wanted an American fighter. So why are you taking the Swedish guy that nobody knows that fought in America once on an undercard to Clarissa Shields or whoever it was, you know, and that's allegedly building up Tyson Fury's brand. Tyson Fury has regressed since the Wilder fight, you know. So again, these moves prove to me that he doesn't believe, or his team feels he needs to get more fights in and more practice and recover from the Wilder fight. Again, if you really got the confidence of I dominated a guy, then there's no reason for you to regress. This Tyson Fury's recent schedule is that of somebody who got knocked out in a fight. You know, if you get knocked out in a fight like Amir Khan or something, I can understand why you come back fight Phil LaGreco, because Canelo blasted you out of this world. You know, you come back fight a Phil LaGreco, Samuel Vargas. You don't just go straight at the Terrence Crawford. You know, you try to build up and take some soft touch tune-up fights. So I don't believe it. Tyson Fury, he's claiming that, you know, he dominated Wilder and all this, and fans ran around, said that. If that was the case, then there's no justification for Mr. Confident lineal champion to be fighting Otto Wallin and Tom Schwartz. And then ESPN, you know, this is why they're putting on ESPN Plus, because nobody's trying to see this. There's a horrible calendar. UFC is bringing a lot more diverse and more meaningful fights to the ESPN Plus platform, like more desired fights. They just letting Top Rank put on whatever they want. You know, there has to be somebody, like even the Adam Kaunowski versus Chris Arreola winner, something like that. Do that in New York. So that's how I could tell the plans have shifted, because they were talking about Tyson Fury fighting at Madison Square Garden. So what changed? You know, why is he fighting back in Vegas? Why are they talking about him fighting in Vegas now? What happened to Madison Square Garden? Because they can't find no suitable opponent that makes sense. So as far as I'm concerned, you know, Deontay Wilder is clearly the biggest star in the heavyweight boxing, and Andy Ruiz is doing well for himself, especially if he beats Joshua again. So Mexican American and an African American fighter, aka two American fighters, are running the heavyweight division. You can believe old media who say Tyson Fury is the man to beat and stuff. How come his events, how come they can't put on a bigger event than this? Wilder versus Luis Ortiz. Is there anybody out there who believes Wilder Ortiz is going to be a smaller, less desired fight than Tyson Fury versus an unknown Otto Wallin? Come on, man. We know Luis Ortiz's game and southpaw and comes to bring it. And it's hilarious to see new media and the way we stomping out old media, because old media, they'll be the first to critique, like I said, Gervonta Davis. Why is Errol Spence fighting Ocampo? Why is Wilder rematching Luis Ortiz? But then they ain't got shit to say about Tyson Fury versus Otto Wallin, which happens to be another horrible fight, you know, that no one's asked for, off the heels of Tom Schwartz, another fight no one asked for. Again, you know, I don't really see how this prepares Tyson Fury either. I'm definitely picking Wilder to beat Fury in the rematch, because I don't see how these types of fights will prepare for a probably rugged fight against, as Tyson Fury said, the most devastating puncher in heavyweight history. So you think Wilder's the most devastating puncher in heavyweight history, his own words, and you're taking the lightest of touches. How is that going to prepare you for what's in store? How is that going to prepare you for that type of fight? I can't understand it. And I have to call bullshit on what Top Rank and ESPN said. They said the goal for Tyson Fury signing ESPN was to build up momentum and star power to promote Wilder Fury. These fights are met, his last two fights have been met with immense criticism. So that doesn't really promote and get people ready to see it. Wilder, if he knocks out Luis Ortiz, that's going to make people want to see the Tyson Fury fight. But Tyson Fury, as lineal champ, is not doing his part to build energy and momentum and excitement towards the Wilder Fury 2 fight by fighting these guys. Again, you do the math. In the last few years, Tyson Fury, because the Klitschko fight was so long ago, it was 2015. So in recent memory, in his last 4 fights or whatever, it's going to be Otto Wallin, Tom Schwartz, Wilder, Safari, or Francisco Pineda, and Safari. That's a horrible schedule. That's not no crazy schedule. So if you got the complexion for the protection, the media, old media at least, they'll definitely try to protect you. And again, I'm convinced Tyson Fury and his handlers or whatever, they want him to go into the Wilder fight as fresh as possible because they are taking the lightest of touches. They're not even giving you somebody who remotely has, like, I would rather see Cannon Briggs. Let's go, champ. You know, I'd rather see Tyson Fury versus Cannon Briggs or something. At least Cannon Briggs, first 4 or 5 rounds, you got to get through that power. They don't want to take no type of risk with their investment in Tyson Fury. So with that being considered, you know, I got to put Wilder as the #1 heavyweight. Joshua just lost. Andy Ruiz is doing his thing, but he's new to the scene and he wasn't even supposed to be there. So he has to prove it wasn't a fluke. And then Tyson Fury's taking the lightest of touches. Meanwhile, Wilder's out here and he's willing to put it all up. He's willing to pull it all on the line. I think Luis Ortiz is a dangerous fight for anyone. You notice after Wilder knocked out Luis Ortiz, nobody stepped up to the plate to fight Luis Ortiz. Anybody with something to lose, like an undefeated record, a belt, nobody stepped up, you know? So it's just a bad look, but shout out to Deontay Wilder. Tyson Fury, again, he's a good fighter. I do believe that, but the way ESPN and Top Rank and Frank Warren have been moving him, look at his last fights. Outside of the Wilder fight, they've all been very light touches. And I really don't see how this prepares you again for Wilder unless you're trying to practice something. You got 2 rounds in with Tom Schwartz. Wilder took you 12 rounds and hurt you very badly in the later portion, especially in the 12th round. I don't see how that's good preparation, but that's none of, I ain't one of the gossipers. That's none of my business. Let me know what you guys think. Drop your thoughts in the comment section. We unpack. So if you enjoyed this video and want more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by going to the PayPal donate button or the YouTube support button, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Much more to come. Thank you guys for your support. Boxing Ego, the future of boxing.